My biggest problem was that they weren't alternates, Lane and Jordan.
John McMullen, Jody McDonald here with you on Birds 365. A good one on a Monday after what turned out to be Eagles blowout victory. If you like the Birds, then you got to like us. Like, share, subscribe on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Don't know how many likes we've gotten so far today. Had a record-setting day last week. Come on. The Eagles got a big win. You got to be with us each and every single day here on Birds 365, and feel free to hit that like button. All right, here's one thing I didn't like yesterday, John. And maybe you'll be able to shed more light because you were there. We, 99% of us, 99%, were slave to television yesterday. The Devonta Smith touchdown. Even the announcers said, and oh, by the way, I saw some criticism, social media of Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma, and I didn't think they were half bad. They were not near as bad as Mark Sanchez was on Tuesday night. He was just awful. I'm sorry. He's just terrible as an announcer. Vilma wasn't bad. He's not as good to listen to Merrill and Mike, but he wasn't terrible. And I think people just hate anyone who's not Merrill and Mike in announcing the Eagle games. But I digress. They tried to explain it as best they could. I don't know if you caught this per the TV monitors in the press box. Even the in-game official, the guy they have sitting in the studio is a former referee who's supposed to know everything and explain everything. Even he said, I've never seen a review of a review before. They reviewed the reviewed and overturned the review, which had overturned the original call, which was a touchdown on the play. Bottom line is, and this is being 100% objective, no Eagle bias here. I think they got the call right. I think they got it right the first time. I think they got it right the third time. I think it was a touchdown. Did you get any further clarification in the press box as to what the hell actually transpired? The steps we went through to find out that Devonta Smith actually got a touchdown?
Yeah, we did. We get when there is a controversial play, we get a pool report. In this case, it was not even the official; it was the referee. It was Walt Anderson, who is the senior vice president of officiating from the NFL. By the way, after the game, Nick Sirianni had no idea, so nobody had any idea what the heck was going on. But then Walt Anderson discussed it with the pool reporter, who was our buddy Zach Berman. So and by the way, we only got a 2-hour show, so I'll try to get through this pretty quickly. It was really just a communication lapse on our part. This is Walt Anderson speaking, not me, obviously. We originally were seeing a heel down. So the original communication between the replay booth and the referee was that it looked like it was going to be an expedited review. So they do this now where they buzz into the referee's ear, and they say, look, this is it. Let's make it really quickly. And we don't have to go through this extended process, keep things moving, which, by the way, has been a good thing. Although we should have a segment about that, Jody, because why they don't do that for obvious calls in other instances, I have no idea. But that's another 2-hour show. So I continue. So Walt Anderson says, I know the referees are trying to make those announcements quickly. By the time we could say there are additional angles, he had already made that announcement, the on-field referee, who, by the way, is that new referee. I forget his name, but I have it here. Land Clark, who is.
What'd you say? Landfill?
Land Clark.
Okay.
So
seemed like a pleasant guy. Just seemed like he was a little lost.
Yeah. So he was told one thing. So he made the announcement. And then Walt Anderson said, no, we're going to stop the play and look at it because we had multiple angles relative to was it a continuous step. By rule, if the toe comes down first and then the heel comes down in one continuous step, Jody, then it's out of bounds. But if there's any kind of drag with the toe, then the toe drag gets credit for the second step. This is Walt Anderson again. All right. So what was the process behind the second review? And again, I go to Walt Anderson. We ended up seeing the additional angles. It looked like a heel on one angle, but then on another angle, it looked like the toe probably drug. So we just wanted to stop play and make sure we were looking at all the angles and make sure that the rule was applied correctly. After we looked at everything, it looked like there may have been evidence that the toe drug first before the heel ended up stepping. And since the ruling on the field was a touchdown, that's when we say, well, we don't have evidence to change it from the ruling. And that's why we stayed with touchdown. Walt Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, well, good for Walt Anderson. And thank you, John McMullen, for filling in the blanks for me, because truthfully, I would not have known that. Number one, they didn't explain it. And number two,
couldn't, nobody knew it. So it wasn't the announcer's fault. Nick Sirianni didn't know it after the game. He had no idea what went on.
Right. But we're all playing along at home. And what I thought was actually in question was the fact that the giant defender did get his hand on the football after Smith had made the grab, made the toe drag, and I thought that was pretty damn obvious that it was a toe drag, that he got his hand on the football, and the football did move while Devontae was going to the ground. I thought that he had enough control of it throughout that it should have stayed as a touchdown, but that's what I thought they were looking at, was the just scraping of the ball by the giant defender enough to make it move. Was there a chance that Devontae had at one point lost control of it as he was going to the ground? That's what I thought was in question. I didn't think there was ever any question about the foot action, that he had absolutely gotten both feet in, and the toe drag swag was obvious. You saw the pellets coming up in the end zone, the colored pellets coming up. I had no idea that that's what they were continuing to look at. So basically is what you're telling me, they went to expedite it a little too quickly.
Yes. And they were obviously, the referee made the announcement, so I guess they're kind of throwing him under the bus a little bit too quickly. And then they went back and reviewed it again. I was with you. I thought they were going to go that route and say, well, the ball moved a little bit. He didn't survive the ground. By that point, he's out of bounds. I thought that was the route they were going to go as well. But no, it was just heel versus toe. I have to watch it again because obviously I don't have a good view. And I'll watch it at a point today. I don't know how close it was, heel versus toe. I guess there was some question if the heel was down first. So I have to watch that. But all worked out in the end. The Eagles got the touchdown. That's what Nick Sirianni said. It's all that matters in the end. And yeah. I'll say it again. Walt Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, he filled in the blanks for you, and thank you for filling them in with us. One thing I do want to get in here before we punch up our buddy Bob Groats from the Delco Times. We only did 3 Birds 365s last week, took a couple holidays. Wednesday was our final day last week, and they didn't come out with Pro Bowl selections till after you and I were on the air, and we had some fun talking about who was going to make it, who had a chance to make it, who we thought was going to make it. We both agreed that there were 2 givens for the Eagles that were going to make the Pro Bowl. And yes, of course, they both did. But a couple of guys we thought had a shot came up snake eyes. We both kind of thought Jordan Mailata should get some significant scrutiny for the job that he's done at left tackle this year, be a meteoric rise from where his career was. Shoot, he wasn't a starting left tackle when camp started this year, and he had played himself. We both agreed to a potential Pro Bowl level. I thought Jason Hargrave had a chance more so than Fletcher Cox, but you talked about Fletcher being a reputation guy, resume type guy, default position type guy. And the same with Lane Johnson at right tackle because he had made it previously. Did miss a couple of games in season. We know the issues that he had. Yeah, the Eagles only got the two guys that we thought were going to make the Pro Bowl, which were Kelsey and Darius Slay, and came up short in all other positions. Do you think that had an effect yesterday, specifically with the Eagles' massive touchdown scorer, Mr. East Texas himself, Lane Johnson catching a touchdown pass? Think there was a little, oh, yeah, you didn't give me any.
Yeah, I think, couple people mentioned that, and Jordan Mailata mentioned it, and Nick Sirianni mentioned it. For some reason, they really took this slight on Lane Johnson bigger than the other potential slights. I maybe because of what he went through from the standpoint of dealing with the anxiety and depression. Maybe it hit a little bit home. Um, my biggest problem was that they weren't alternates, Lane and Jordan. Well, the NFC is loaded at offensive tackle. I mean, loaded. Trent Williams is. By the way, you have to make fun of Groats because Groats thinks Trent Williams can't play anymore and thinks Jordan Mailata. So I know he hasn't watched 10 seconds of 49ers football. Nothing against Jordan, but Trent Williams is unbelievable. Teron Smith is obviously a great player and has a reputation. And also Tristan Wirfs from Tampa Bay, coming off the Super Bowl. I mean, they're pretty stinking good players. But how do you not have them as alternates? There's no explanation for that. And you could make an argument because Lane missed 3 games, or I think it was 3 games. That puts Wirfs over the top as the third tackle. Either way, though, he's got to be an alternate. And yeah, the Eagles took it as a slight. And so it probably did certainly egg them on and certainly get Nick Sirianni interesting to call East Texas. That's the name of that play. And, what was most interesting to me is Lane after the game said it's been in the playbook under Chip Kelly, under Doug Peterson, under Nick Sirianni, and they finally ran it. And it worked.
Yeah, you got to explain that to me. How does that work? Chip, if I remember correctly, got the hell out of town fast. That was not a pleasant termination. It certainly was not all roses and petals when Doug Peterson was told his services were no longer needed. There's no ceremonial passing of the playbook to the new head coach, is there? What does Lane Johnson mean by it's been in there since Chip Kelly and Doug Peterson?
Everybody. I mean, Dallas ran it's a tackle eligible play. Everybody has it, essentially. And he's been here for 3 coaches. He was just trying to say it's been, everybody has a tackle, essentially. They had it. They never ran it. They didn't call it East Texas. Obviously, things change. But, Lane, for people who don't know, he was a quarterback in junior college. He's a really good athlete. Originally was going to play, I think, tight end at Oklahoma. So, if anybody can do it, you would think it would be Lane Johnson. And he's had opportunities because it's been in the playbook. And it's in every NFL playbook would be my answer to you, Jody. And again, the Cowboys ran the same play and got a touchdown on it Sunday night. So, yeah, that's what he means. He doesn't mean, there's no ceremonial passing of the playbook. Otherwise, Chip Kelly would have handed basically a CBS receipt to Doug Peterson Doug Peterson would have handed a cheesecake factory menu to Nick Sirianni, and Nick's probably in between West Coast and Chip Kelly run 3 plays.
I hear what you're saying. Do you believe, did Sirianni say to Chef? I didn't see it. Maybe you know. Did the fact that Lane, this kind of goes back to my original question, tying 2 things together. Did Sirianni call that play because Lane Johnson got snubbed for the Pro Bowl this week? Or was it just the perfect fit, perfect time? When you go through your progressions in your head, if you're a play caller, it comes up when you think it needs to be called, or do you think he had it in his head ahead of time? If I get the chance, let me throw Lane a big bone this week.
He talked quite a bit about it. He didn't say he did run it because he got snubbed, but he was the one who brought up the Pro Bowl sort of unprompted. So I think it had something to do with it. But he mentioned it's been in the offense for a couple different games this year. They were never able to get to it. So it's nothing new, because I had thought that, the poor guy was in quarantine. He was bored. He was thinking of, oh, we want to do this week. We want to do this week. But he said, no, it was a possibility in a couple different games, but it wasn't the right spot. Here was the right spot. But I can tell you, by that point in the game, my head was down. I was writing. I wasn't paying all that much attention because it was a blowout by that point. And I heard 65 is eligible. And I went, whoa. And sure enough, there it was.
And, oh, by the way, pretty wide open. I only described this one other
by the
time.
way, Jalen hummed that thing in there. He didn't give him an easy one. He put some mustard on that.
He knew that Lane was, as you stated, an athlete who could make a play. It wasn't they just lob it up there and let him get his big mitts on it. He had faith that he was going to be able to grab the ball with 2 hands. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, your Mac and Mac Birds 365, guys. We still got 40 minutes left here today. We're planning on spending some of that quality time with Bob Groats of the Delco Times. Come on back. See if he joins us here on Birds 365.